for your gospel music. It's all right here on the Uplift. Right here on the Uplift.
Well, it's a good Saturday morning, and we welcome you to www.theupliftlive.com on a Saturday morning. I'm Robert Ashley, and we thank you once again for being with us right here at www.theupliftlive.com. Once again, we are proud to be associated with this great online gospel radio station. And once again, we're here in Dallas, Texas. It's Saturday morning. A lot going on in the United States of America. And of course, we missed you last week, and we certainly want to apologize for missing last week, but we had to take time off to go to a funeral of a 15-year-old by the name of Keon Willingham. And we certainly are wanting to pray for our young people, because the times that we're living in now are certainly, as the Bible says, the times that are trying men's souls. And to see this 15-year-old reportedly, allegedly commit suicide, we continue to pray. This young man lost his mother during COVID-19. And I tell you, when you lose mom and you lose dad, those are anchors in your life. And for a child, sometimes it's very, very difficult to even try to go on. So once again, we apologize about missing last week, but we had to be with the family in order to show some sense of strength as we deal with the totality and the eternity. But once again, we want to welcome you to the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com. And we are certainly honored to be a part of the Avidity Awards. Now, we are up for Internet Radio Station of the Year. And maybe a little bit later on during the program here, we'll tell you how you can actually continue to vote this radio station in as the best internet radio station all across the United States of America. But once again, we are honored to have you with us this morning. A lot of things that are going on. It's a runoff election day today. We have runoff elections in Dallas, got a big one going on in Grand Prairie. And we encourage you to go to your county's website, Dallas County, Tarrant County, Kaufman County, Collin County. Just go to those websites and look up the elections department and see who's actually on the ballot today. Now, also, it's been a really big week in terms of news. The former president of the United States, Donald Trump, indicted again. Now, he's been indicted on state charges, but this time it's a federal grand jury. Jack Smith, we're going to let you hear from Jack Smith, the prosecutor in this case, who says that the former president of the United States is indeed accused of violating the law well over 30 counts. Now, all they have to do is convict him of one of these felony counts. Now, he's got grand jury indictments coming out of New York, may have an indictment coming out of Atlanta, Georgia. This one comes out of Florida on yesterday. So, boy, if indeed this former president is still going to continue to run for office, Joe Biden, who's the president of the United States, it's going to be quite interesting to see what happens there, because it's interesting. The very day that Trump winds up getting indicted, that's the very day that the FBI director, Christopher Wray, decided to allow members of the Oversight Committee to see this document from a former intelligence official alleging that our current president, Joseph Robinette Biden, and his son, Hunter Biden, basically were possibly bribed to the tune of maybe $10 million. Allegedly, 5 for the big guy, who was considered to be Joe Biden, and of course the other 5 for Hunter Biden. Now, but this is the same day that the indictment drops against Donald Trump. So let me tell you this, as Christians, as members of the body of Christ, we need to pray for this nation, because when you see this kind of big white boy fight, Trump, Biden, is it the mafia going up against the Illuminati? Because here in Dallas, Texas, where former President John Fitzgerald Kennedy just didn't get up and walk out of Dallas, Texas. This man was shot and killed right here in this country. That's a president of the United States. Now, in the situation involving Donald Trump, those classified documents, and then the fact that Joe Biden had classified documents in his home, he wasn't even president of the United States. Now, the president, supposedly under the Presidential Documents Act, so to speak, supposedly have the authority to do this. But then again, if you're working with people in the archives, they say, okay, if you turn this document in, did you turn that document in? Did you hide documents? I mean, what's going on with Mr. Trump and these documents? Now, of course, he was the president of the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see if indeed he can win in court as to whether or not he actually violated the law. But as far as Joe Biden is concerned, this man has no right to even have those documents stored anywhere. But then again, the Democrats are in control. And if you think the Democrats are going to turn the Attorney General loose on President Biden and his son, you got another thing coming. And this is where, in this country, big white boy fight here. And the same allegation that black people used to make against this country, that there were two standards of justice, one for black folks and another standard for white folks. Now you have the Trumpers, the white Republicans who are saying, oh, we're in the same position as black folks were when they were fighting for their rights in the civil rights movement. You got white people now in this country who feels like the Democrats and all of the coalitions that make up the Democratic Party are coming against white America. And the indictment of Donald Trump is an indication to white America that perhaps the Barack Obamas of the world, the Joe Bidens of the world, the James Comeys of the world, the Hillary Clintons of the world are after them. So the big question is, where should the black community be as we watch this big fight over power in the nation's capital? Now, here in Dallas, Texas, we don't want to see another president assassinated. I mean, in light of all the stuff that's going on with Donald Trump, I don't want to see Biden hurt. I don't want to see Donald Trump hurt. I don't want to see nobody hurt. But then it's been a long time since this nation has had an assassination. And being the fact that we're here in Dallas, Texas, this is very fresh on the minds of many. Now, also in the Democratic Party, you got Robert Kennedy Jr. His daddy was a senator who was also shot and killed when he was running for president of the United States there in Los Angeles. And he's out there, but Joe Biden doesn't even want to debate Robert Kennedy. So we're going to be looking at the elections, what's going on there. Now, also, this is June, Black Music Month, or did Bill Clinton and Barack Obama say, well, we got to take June, which is Black Music Month, and throw Gay Pride Month in there as well? This is so-called Pride Month. Now, in the body of Christ, we have to be really, really careful as to how we deal with this so-called pride issue, because, you know, pride is one of the things that God hates. God hates this prideful look. And let alone to say he hates what happened in Sodom and Gomorrah, in that it's no longer there. So either way it goes, and I've covered a lot of stories involving the gay community. As a matter of fact, in the Oaklawn area, we have the cathedral. I think, what is it called? The Cathedral of Christ? No, the big cathedral. We've even interviewed the pastor of that church, the largest gay church in America. So as we deal with this Pride Month, the body of Christ probably needs to be as prayerful as we possibly can, because to see Target and a lot of these big department stores come out with all this pride gear for children, and then there's a satanic twist to it, and we don't hear not one black preacher standing up saying anything. They're probably scared, and I can understand that, because you're dealing with a crowd of people that if they use Satanism to promote their given issue, my goodness, what kind of spiritual warfare are we indeed facing? All right, well, once again, you're tuned into the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com. We're up for one of the Avidity Awards here, and we're really, really proud of that. We're proud of the staff, proud of the owners and operators here. Deontay Graham and his wife, we just appreciate all of you and everything that you're doing there. That's Mr. Arthur Fleming, who is on screen with me there. Now, Arthur, former president of the Dallas chapter of the NAACP, he's a columnist now. He has stepped into the controversial world of journalism. And boy, now look, I've been trying to tell him, the politicians will come after you now if you write something they don't like. You have to be careful now, Arthur. It's different being an activist and former president of the NAACP. You get to this journalism field, it can get to be pretty interesting. Now, also, there's a chance that Angela Lucky and Betsy Adams may join us today. Now, Angela Lucky, president, Grand Prairie chapter of the NAACP. We got a big election that's going on in Grand Prairie. It's a runoff election for an at-large city council seat. And also in Dallas, Texas, in District 3, we have the Reverend Zarin Gracie going up against Joe Tabe in that District 3 race. Now, of course, Casey Thomas is the outgoing city council member there. He's termed out, so he can't run anymore. But the Reverend Zarin Gracie and Joe Tabe will square off in that race there in the Dallas, Texas area. But good morning, Arthur. How are you this morning, man?
Morning, Robert. How you doing there, brother man?
Oh, man, we're blessed and highly favored here, and we're just honored to have you with us again. Let's start off by talking about the politics here. Were you surprised that the big, I think of maybe 37 count indictment was rendered yesterday against the former president of the United States?
No, if anybody been following the case, not surprised. They knew that this was, the evidence just been there for so long. The only question has been, what has taken them so long? So that's really the question most people have to ask. So it's not about, did he do it? I mean, hey, the guy admitted he did it. So, what you gonna do? You admitted I got to do something.
Yes. All right. All right. We have the Reverend Melvin Brown, who is joining us this morning. And good morning, Reverend Brown. How are you this morning, sir?
Good morning, Brother Brown.
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
All right. Well, Reverend, once again, good to have you with us. We kind of kicked it off by getting some general reaction here to the 37-count indictment that's been rendered against the former president of the United States. He's accused of all kinds of things regarding these classified documents here, but he was out playing golf yesterday. But Reverend Brown, from a spiritual point of view, what's going on with our nation? Are we on the verge of something happening that could really shake the foundation of this nation? Or is this just politics as normal, as usual?
I think your commentary on even the question itself is evident that it's both of those. We are on the verge of something which I don't like to operate from a point of fear. We heard many times that these are the last days. And the connotation of this being the last days, the enemy always starts with the leaders first. So
Wow.
it is normal politics. I mean, it's probably not any different other than I think we have a new character. My brother agreed to that. He's pretty strong about his feelings and convictions. So we have different players. It's the same game.
Yes. Now, Trump has already declared for president of the United States. Just this week, we saw Vice President Mike Pence also declare, and President Biden is running, and so is Robert Kennedy Jr. It's going to be now. What if Trump? Now he's got the indictments in New York. He's got a grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, that's coming forth. We've got the Washington, the indictment that came yesterday out of Miami. He also, E. Jean Carroll, says that he raped her in a department store. But when they asked her in court, did you scream? She said no. But I mean, here in Dallas, Texas, we saw President Kennedy assassinated. Well, maybe our country would rather see a political
about Trump,
assassination rather than a real assassination.
But you asked me about Trump, okay?
Yes.
And basically, and what I'm saying is that what you have to understand is that he's running for president to stay out of jail. That's his only reason. He's running. He said when he get in, he's going to give pardons to all those folks that crashed on J6. So basically, what he's telling you is that he is continuing the coup. This is an ongoing coup d'état, okay? And for anybody to sit back and pretend that, the rubber band and pop back into where it was. No. This is an ongoing coup d'état. The man just told you. Maya Angelou said, when they tell you who they are first time, you need to believe them. The man just said what he gonna do. He said if he gets in there, he's going to finish the coup d'état. That's what he said. And so for us to walk around and pretend that ain't what's happening, that's our leaders, I think it's ridiculous. So I like to see them articulate the reality of what we're looking at better than what they're doing. To pretend there's nothing happening. The man said what he's gonna do. I believe him.
Yes. Now, Reverend Brown, is it conceivable to think that we could see a former president of the United States convicted and sent to jail for the rest of his life? Is it conceivable to think that could happen in America?
Well, I think it is conceivable based upon the clear indictment. This is the first time he's passed by all the stop gates, and now with an official indictment from the federal government, it's possible that he could spend some time in jail. If he gets in jail, I can almost guarantee he's not going to stay there.
Yes, my goodness. Well, once again, if you're just now joining us, my name is Robert Ashley, and you're listening and you're watching The Review on online radio station www.theupliftlive.com. Just go to Google Play, or you can go to the App Store and download our app, Uplifted Now, and you can take gospel music with you 24/7. And I certainly want to thank the staff of this radio station, because last week when we were away dealing with a death in the family, I tuned into this radio station, and the music really did minister, because even a tough journalist like yours truly, we've got a heart too. And when we see our 15-year-olds reportedly committing suicide or dying mysteriously, something going on there, it indeed impacts you. But once again, for those of you just not joining us, you're watching the upliftlive.com. We're a 24-hour gospel station here in Dallas, Texas, www.theupliftlive.com. With me this morning, Arthur Fleming, longtime civil rights activist, now a columnist with the North Dallas Gazette. And boy, he's been writing about fascism, politics, all kinds of things there. And with me also the Reverend Melvin Brown. Now, Reverend Melvin Brown has a background of an accountant. He did all kinds of big work with Promise Keepers, all kinds of things. Now, also joining us is Reggie Ruffin, the founder of the Just Cause Coalition. And Reggie's joining us as well. And each and every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, we talk about the issues of the day. And right now, we're still on the indictment of Donald Trump. We're going to hear from the prosecutor, Jack Smith, as he announced the indictments on yesterday in just a few minutes. But Reggie, thank you for joining us this morning. How you doing, man? And give us some reaction to the Trump 37-count indictment. Holmes, how you doing, Reggie?
Ooh, did I? Oh, I missed something, because they was at number 7 a couple of days ago. So they done beefed it up, huh?
37 counts, man. 37 counts. Oh, and by the way, Trump's going to be campaigning in Georgia, I think in Florida, in North Carolina. He's going to be on the campaign trail today.
Well, that's going to be an interesting distraction for him to be trying to take care of, because I mean, I guess he done skipped Georgia, because Georgia's going to be next week, because they supposed to be indicting him on the voter fraud stuff in Georgia. So things not looking too rosy for our friend.
All right. Now, Arthur, coming back to you, man. Now, everybody said that Trump is the Teflon Don. Nothing sticks to him. He gets away with this. He gets away with that. Is there a possibility that this man could be innocent and just a victim because Democrats like you can't beat him at the polls?
Well, first of all, I'm not a Democrat. I'm an independent. But here, first of all, we got to be clear. There are 3 levels of justice, not 2. There's 3. There's the supreme capitalist elite. The 1% with all the money. There's a legal system for them. Then there's black and white. And I guess you actually could say 4, because then you got a class. You got a class thing to throw in there too. But I'm just saying that there are actually 3 different folks like Trump. Now they have the ability to fight the federal government. They can stand toe to toe with them money wise as far as the legal system. So they can, Robert, me and you can't do that. You're gonna be in jail, right? So so I'm just saying that you have to be clear about that. And that's one of the good things that's coming out of this. Everybody's getting educated at the same time about that we've been complaining about for forever. Mm-hmm. Now affecting white people. Now they understand that, like when black people get rights, you get rights. Whatever right we get, you didn't have it before we got it. So you have privilege. Privilege can be taken at any time. And that's what you see is happening now. They started off gerrymandering black folks, so forth. Now they're gerrymandering Democrats. So, whether you white or black, so folks have to understand how that works. We're the symbol of freedom. So, you need to be working with us.
As a matter of fact, the Supreme Court just ruled that the Republicans in Alabama violated the 1965 Voting Rights Act, and they're going to have to now redraw those congressional lines in Alabama. Did you see that this week off, where the Supreme Court came and ruled that?
You remember they got rid of pre-clearance, and so and everybody expected them to get rid of the redistricting piece, but they say one. I don't know if it's because of what's been going on with the court that they decided they'd hold off on trying to go further right. But anyway, but they've held on to it. So for right now, That's real good news. It's going to help us out as far as like, redrawing some of these lines. And that's one of the main things that the Republicans have relied on to retain their power. So,
All right, let's do this. I've got Jack Smith. Now, Jack Smith is the guy who investigated former President Donald Trump. And Jack Smith is a special counsel who was appointed by the Attorney General Merrick Garland. Now, one note about Jack Smith, there was another, I think his name was Ted Stevens out of Alaska. This was back in the 1990s. Jack Smith was a special prosecutor that went after Ted Stevens. I think he was either a Democrat or a Republican out of Alaska. And the Supreme Court overturned his conviction and a 9-0 ruling indicating there was prosecutorial misconduct in that case. But Jack Smith is back now, and let's listen to what he has to say about former President Donald J. Trump. He's spoke yesterday to members of the media. Didn't take very many questions, but he did
Good
speak.
afternoon. Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice.
Okay, now we heard just a little bit of that. Let's see here, Jack.
This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged. The men and women of the United States intelligence community and our armed forces dedicate their lives to protecting our nation and its people. Our laws that protect national defense information are critical to the safety and security of the United States, and they must be enforced. Violations of those laws put our country at risk. Adherence to the rule of law is a bedrock principle of the Department of Justice, and our nation's commitment to the rule of law sets an example for the world. We have one set of laws in this country, and they apply to everyone. Applying those laws, collecting facts, that's what determines the outcome of an investigation. Nothing more and nothing less. The prosecutors in my office are among the most talented and experienced in the Department of Justice. They have investigated this case hewing to the highest ethical standards, and they will continue to do so as this case proceeds. It's very important for me to note that the defendants in this case must be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. To that end, my office will seek a speedy trial in this matter, consistent with the public interest and the rights of the accused. We very much look forward to presenting our case to a jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida. In conclusion, I would like to thank the dedicated public servants.
All right, well, once again, that is Jack Smith, the special counsel who came forth with the indictments against President Trump. And Reggie, coming back to you, any more reaction after hearing from the prosecutor there? I mean, why is Trump just that corrupt? I mean, you got Florida, you got Georgia, Washington, D.C. Now, I don't want to have, I'm going to bring up the Biden documents in just a minute now, but is this some kind of tit for tat, Reggie? Do you see it? Did we lose Reggie? I think we lost Reggie. Let's go back to Reverend Brown. Now, Reverend Brown, from the body of Christ point of view, is this a tit for tat? Is righteousness on trial, or is this void of religion or politics, or is this just straight politics?
It is politics because of the arena, and I use with you the spectrum that we're talking about. And if the word poly means govern.
Mm-hmm. Speak up a little bit, Reverend. Get closer to your microphone there, a little bit louder so we can.
I said that the spectrum that we're talking about is politics. So in light of the fact that the people that are representing us are politicians, then it is politics, but the root word for politics is poly. The word poly means govern and means order. And there's nothing wrong with poly, but there is certainly something wrong with politics. So unfortunately, the character of President Trump and even others, which we won't mention everyone, but
Mhm.
we're all under scrutiny. And from a biblical perspective, we have to be honest, and we have to do the.
Yes. Okay, now coming back to you, Reggie, politics, is there any concerns about justice here? Because, you know, with the Republicans accusing Democrats of treating them the way that blacks felt we were treated back in the 1960s and 70s with the double standard of justice, is that even a concern, or is it just strictly politics?
This thing, this thing is this is an unprecedented situation, to say the least. And the thing about it with Trump is, of course, Trump going to play the victim because he has a following, and he has some people who are really jizzed by what he's been doing and what he's been saying. So for him, he's going to still try to play the victim on this whole situation, and he has the time and the money to do it. Even if he does get I mean, he could put off the trial until the election, which is what he's going to try to do. And he's going to try to hope that he gets reelected president. So that way he'll be back under that umbrella protection of you can't indict, convict, or do anything to a sitting president. That's what this whole situation is about, what he's doing now. He's trying to buy time. And it's a good chance that he may do it, but if justice is going to be what I think it'll be on this one, they're going to make a point to try to push him up out of there by January, February of the upcoming year. So it's going to be. I'm just going to get my popcorn and beer, and I'm going to watch the show. So that's the way I think we can handle this, because there's no telling what else is going to come out of this. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump hops a plane out of the country and just goes somewhere where he feel like he can hide. That's what that's my prediction.
All right, we're gonna get you some lemonade with that popcorn. Then we'll get you some lemonade. But anyway, no, but coming back to Arthur. Now this is a serious question, because here in Dallas, Texas, we saw a president assassinated. There was this talk about a deep state. When you look at Hillary Clinton, how she handled classified documents, people have been comparing that all week long. Classified documents on a server and a mom and pop shop. Sure. And here you got a president who had it at his own house. Is there a belief that there's a double standard involved, Arthur? And do you think if President Trump continues, he might get assassinated like John Kennedy did here in Dallas?
Well, look, for some context, we're in what's called a third Reconstruction. Civil War never ended. It just evolved into different forms of politics. We're in the third Reconstruction right now. So what you're saying North versus South, white mentalities going at it again. And so I think that where we make a mistake as African American community leaders is when we try to bring African American moral authority and be trying to judge them by that. We can't do that. We gotta judge them by just the law. This is all we're talking about right now is the law. What's the law? Now, as far as whether both of them corrupt, okay, let's just say both of them corrupt. Now what? They both corrupt. Now what?
What should he get like Hillary Clinton? They gave Hillary Clinton a pass. She had classified documents.
Well,
does that show a double standard to the American people?
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, and I'm not really worried about the American people. I'm worried about the African American people. Does it show a double standard to the African American people? They've always did the double standard for the African American people. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a double standard, but it's their standard. I mean, they the one that said it. So I'm saying that what we don't need to do is judge ourselves by their standards, and we need to understand this third Reconstruction. Civil War never ended, and maybe we keep working, Robert. Maybe we can end the Civil War. Maybe we can be at the table this time, because last time, they were, we wasn't at the table. They split it up. They did what they was going to do. And now we've been dealing with it ever since. So maybe this time we can set the table.
All right. Well, hold that thought, gentlemen, because I want to ask about this possibility. We have to put the possibility of assassination on the table. I know that's a very sensitive topic, particularly being here in Dallas, Texas, where we actually witnessed a president assassinated, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And we have seen these battles with the deep state and the powers that be there in the nation's capital. We've seen people, Sonny Bono died mysteriously. We could call the roll on people who have died mysteriously. Do we know, did Lee Harvey Oswald, did he really kill John Fitzgerald Kennedy, or did Jack Ruby, who shot him in the basement of the Dallas County Jail, did he have something to do with that? I mean, we're in Dallas, Texas.
Sonny Bono ran to a tree. Sonny Bono ran to a tree on his skis. Come on now.
Well, there's been a lot of after investigations after that, but I don't know if you've even checked into any of those follow-up investigations. But
trees don't move. Trees don't move.
I know it, but see, now you can have somebody, you can manipulate anything. I mean, exactly. I've read some assassination attempts in Arkansas where people cut off their own heads, and Fannie Malek, who was the medical examiner, justified in a medical report.
That's why we shouldn't, dive deep into conspiracy theories. We should research information for ourselves and then come back and then explain them like that, because otherwise we'd be diving in holes all day, man. I'm telling you. Let me
tell you this. Now look up. Now, when you get off the program here, Arthur, in that you're now a columnist with the North Dallas Gazette, look up the word conspiracy theory and see how it came into existence. I'll go ahead and tell you, it came into existence to discredit journalists after the Richard Nixon Watergate tape broke. That's when the whole word, just look the word up, because they had the CIA and the FBI had to declassify documents when journalists did a Freedom of Information request. They had to declassify the documents that the whole word conspiracy theory in the intelligence community was made up to discredit journalists to keep us from reporting the truth. But you got to look that up now, in that you're in the media.
You correct about that. Look here, I can tell you some more stuff about all that. I'm not saying, I'm not putting on a jersey.
Okay, I got a break. All right, well, once again, you're watching the review right here in Dallas, Texas, home of the Dallas Mavericks, home of Dak Prescott, home of a lot of great churches, home of www.theupliftlive.com. This is an online gospel radio station, and every Saturday morning we do talk. It's called The Review with yours, Julie Robert Ashley. We're going to pause right now for just a real quick break. Now, when we get back, we've got to talk about Pride Month. And then, did you hear a black mother who wind up getting shot and killed by a white woman? The white woman shot through the door and killed this black mother, and two of her children were standing right there witnessing it. And that was an incredible situation. We're going to pause right now for just a quick break, and we'll be back with more right after this.
Hello and God bless you. Dr. Robert Ashley, the host of The Review, a talk show starting at 10 o'clock each and every Saturday morning right here at www.theupliftlive.com. Now be sure to check us out on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. as we review the top news stories of the week important to the African American community. So once again, that's The Review, 10 o'clock every Saturday morning right here with Dr. Robert Ashley on www.theupliftlive.com.
We are the Debt Destroyer Network. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now for free information that helps you destroy your debt. It's great advice. Plus, when you make this free call now, we have Debt Destroyer experts ready to help. They can show you how to destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help slash your debt. Call the Debt Destroyer now for free information. Call now. 866-500-9945. 866-500-9945. 866-500-9945. Again, that's 866-500-9945.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Do you use pesticides in your job? Specifically Roundup. Roundup, made by Monsanto, contains a chemical called glyphosate, which has been linked to cancer. If you've used Roundup and you have cancer, you may be entitled to a cash award. Over $10 billion has been set aside to pay users of Roundup who've been diagnosed with cancer. Time is almost running out to file your claim. So if you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've used Roundup, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And time to file is almost gone, so please call right now.
800-901-9759. 800-901-9759. 800-901-9759. That's 800-901-9759.
Your number one hit music gospel station. Preach, preach, keep it right here on the Uplift.
I'd be welcome you to www.theupliftlive.com, an online 24-hour gospel radio station coming to you right here out of Dallas, Texas. And once again, my name's Robert Ashley, and I continue to thank God for giving me well over 30 years of practicing journalism right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, formerly with Heaven 97. And of course, you can check us out on our social media platforms, the Dr. Robert Ashley Show. We're all over social media. And of course, we're right here at www.theupliftlive.com. And I'll tell you what, you need to go ahead and download that app, because last week we missed the program, had to go to a homegoing. We continue to pray this morning for the Willingham family. Keon Willingham, a straight A student. The reports are indicating that this young man on my wife's side of the family supposedly, allegedly shot and killed himself. And he just had so much to live for, but he lost his mother during COVID-19. And we continue to pray for those of you in following the aftermath of COVID-19. And also, by the way, this is a story that they're really keeping quiet. Did you know there's a report that they have pulled the COVID-19 vaccine? They have pulled it off the market. My goodness. The report came out this week. They have buried it in the news because of all this Trump indictment stuff, that people who took the shot, and we pray for you, we plead the blood of Jesus over you. Keep in touch with your doctor. There has been an increase in blood clots and heart attacks as a result of either COVID-19 or the vaccine. Now, COVID-19, we all know it was made in the laboratory. We've seen all the documents, Wuhan, and that came out during the Obama administration. And I'd like to interview him. We have a lot of good questions for him, but he's hiding from the media. But they pulled the vaccine off the market. This pandemic supposedly is over with, but just be careful, because there's been so much that went on with that given situation. People were suppressed of saying this, praying that, but just be careful about that situation. But we continue to pray about everything that's going on. Now, today is also an election day, runoff election day. Let's make sure we make our way to the polls now in Grand Prairie. Many people are voting for Betsy Adams over Jeff Copeland in an at-large city council election. Now, in District 3 in Dallas County, who's going to be the next city council member there in District 3? Will it be the Reverend Zarin Gracie, or will it be the former educator Joe Tave? And we encourage you to get out there and go to the polls. But right now, let's kind of get back to the panel who was with me this morning. We have been spending time talking about the indictment of former President Donald Trump, indicted yesterday on 37 counts, alleging that he had all kinds of classified documents. He did this, he did that. You have a grand jury in Atlanta getting ready to indict the former president. He's been indicted out of New York City. There was E. Jean Carroll, who said he sexually assaulted her in a restroom. What is it about this guy Trump that you Democrats are having to pile in? Or is this guy just have gotten away all these years? Or is this a conspiracy to set the man up because he has had access to all of the classified documents, and he saw something in there that could pose a threat to people like Joe Biden and Barack Obama and places like that? Now, I know that these guys are sacred cows, and as Black folks, we're not supposed to talk about those sacred cows. But either way it goes, we just try to discuss it objectively and give everybody a chance to have their say. Now, gentlemen, real quick, I've got a clip here from Donald Trump. He made a statement. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump told everybody before the media broke the story that he was about to get indicted. And let's see what the former president is saying about the indictment here on CNN.
That's just as bad as doing any of the other things that have been done over the last number of years. I'm an innocent man. I did nothing wrong. I'm innocent, and we will prove that very, very soundly and hopefully very quickly.
And once again, that was a statement
about
there from
the possible charges. Ellie Honig, Maggie Haberman was.
All right, that's a statement from CNN, but the former president says he didn't do anything wrong. And Reggie, coming back to you real quickly as we wrap up our conversation about President Trump here, do you think the man's guilty? Do you have to be concerned about an assassination attempt on his life? Because he's out there playing golf and facing all these indictments. What does that say to the deep state?
Well, to start things off about the sacred cow, moo, because he's definitely he's in a heck of a predicament right now. I don't think assassination is going to do anything. You don't want to make a martyr out of him, so it'd be kind of senseless to assassinate him. But I am interested in how the rest of his GOP compadres are, sitting up there and saying what they want to say in a fixed type of situation. Mike Pence sitting up here acting like, he better make sure that he says all the right things because he's still kind of afraid that Trump is going to somehow slide out of this one, and that they don't want to have to eat all the words they're saying. But some of the others, you notice how some of the others is talking kind of cold and cocky about it, like DeSantis and like
Chris Christie.
Chris Christie, yeah. Well, I mean, everybody's got something to say, but at the end of the day, when this thing gets resolved, then let us not forget how Hillary paid the tab at this hotel for free drinks for everybody. So everybody's got an angle they working on this scenario. But the thing about with Trump, we just got to wait and see how it all goes down because I'll spike that lemonade you're talking about. I'm just going to just enjoy this scenario.
The Senate give him a pardon. The Senate say he's gonna give him a pardon. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
He might get himself a pardon. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So this is an ongoing coup, and as long as we're talking about these people like they regular racists, regular racists that we had back 10, 15 years ago, this ain't them. This ain't them.
All right, let me go to Reverend Brown. Now, Reverend Brown, if you could even answer this question, what do you think God is thinking about this given situation? Do we have any way of knowing God's perspective on an issue like this, as we are supposed to be a God-fearing country and God we trust?
Well, there's clearly a way to find out what God is thinking, because God has never changed his mind about what's right and what's wrong. I don't think that God is angry, nor do I think that we should live in fear. The word fear means to reverence, and that's where we've gone wrong as a people. We are a God-fearing country, but at the same time, I think our character, we talked about this earlier, our character is suspect, because we only pray when we get in trouble.
Yes.
And so there's a lot of trouble around us, and so it has every reason why we should be talking about it and doing something about it. But there's an accountability where the leaders are concerned, and I wanted to ask this question earlier for your intelligent consideration. Is there another standard for leadership versus we men? I mean, why should they get away with everything and we have to be accountable for everything that we do? So that's where we're at.
Yeah, there's been several standards of justice, double standards here, double standards there, because you have the Republicans mostly. You got some black Republicans. Byron Donaldson is a young man I've been watching out of Florida, a black Republican who came out and said that he believes that the FBI, the Justice Department under Barack Obama was weaponized to play politics. Whereas these agencies, at one time, also in the civil rights movement, we could call upon the Justice Department. We could call upon the FBI to go down in Mississippi and find some stupid racist who's hung a black man by the belt and then put his body in the front yard of his home because he was dating a young white woman. We could call upon the Justice Department that can we still do that? Arthur, I'm asking you that question. Arthur, can we still?
That's me. Okay.
That whole talk about weaponizing the Justice Department, the CIA, the FBI, or have they always been weaponized against whoever they want to be weaponized against?
And that's what I want to say, Robert. And I appreciate you saying that. Look, we have to understand that what we're dealing with now, it has always been like this. It has never been different. The only difference is now you are more aware of it. It's always been like this. Okay. And so what we need to understand is quit acting like we're surprised. Oh, it's like that. Oh, they weaponize. Oh, they do this. But it's always been like that. And so, I would just encourage people to do a little bit more study to understand how we got here. Like I said, like we're like African American. We're like proxies in a war. You know how America go to these countries, they rescue on one side, America on the other side, and have people fighting. Well, that's what the same process is working out here within our community, and it always has. We've been like a proxy war since the end of slavery. So after they made that deal and they left the South, and then the slave codes came in, that's again a proxy war. We were compromised. They gave us up to compromise to get along with their brethren. And so we've been dealing with that ever since. So I'm saying that, let's be real about it. Let's don't, get caught up in demoralizing immoral people. Mm-hmm. It's a waste of time. You moralizing on Trump. But he don't have no morals.
Okay, now let's talk about Joe. Let's start with you, Arthur. Let's talk about Joe Biden and the documents that the FBI director, Chris Wray, presented to the House Oversight Committee, Democrats and Republicans. Jamie Rafkin, a Democrat. You even have the black woman out of St. Louis. I forget her name, but she's really controversial. She was in there. She saw those documents. We're getting two perspectives on it. Now, one perspective says that the documents indicate that Joe Biden and his son took a $10 million bribe from somebody in Ukraine. Starting with you, Arthur, did the FBI present a false document, or you're innocent until proven guilty, or is this just another way to is this the Republicans trying to get back at Biden because of the indictment of Trump?
From what I understand, this is the document they're talking about. It's a document that when Trump had Rudy Giuliani over in Ukraine, that was before Zelensky, had him running around in Ukraine. He had them generate this document from over there because they were trying to set Biden up. So, and the FBI do have a copy of the document. The reason they haven't released it is because they knew it came from Giuliani. Now they let these crying Republicans, they let them go into the skiff and read it and look at it and all like that, but they say, no, we want them to give it to us, so we can use it to, create more confusion. So I'm just saying all of that, none of that serves you and me, Robert. None of it have nothing to do with what we're gonna do tomorrow.
I can't get a cut of that $5 million. I need a cut of that $5 million, man.
Well, you know what? That's that. I told you about that 1% and how they operate. They got their own laws. That's these 1% people, and see, and we're moralized over the ones that got caught. Okay, but I'm telling you, it's a bunch of them doing that. Bunch of them.
Well, see, that's the 11th. That Martin Luther King said the 11th commandment is "Thou shalt not get caught." But Reggie and Reverend Brown, this FBI document. I mean, do you think the Biden? I mean, and then they said they're coming up with bank records. Now, President Biden says, "Show me the money. Where's the money?" But some of the members on that committee said, "Well, we got bank records. We're gonna show you where the money's at." But Reggie, what do you think about the FBI documents indicating a bribery to the tune of $10 million from the Ukrainians?
Well, that's part of the 11th commandment. Then, of course, the 12th commandment going to be follow the money, and you might get the whole story. So it's gonna, like I said, this thing gonna have so many layers and facets of the fact that if Trump had stayed in his private life and not gotten involved in this whole situation with the politics, because his whole thing was all about trying to show out Barack Obama when he came in. Now all of the chickens are coming home to roost on them, and this is a big karma sandwich that's going to be eaten right now as far as Trump. But it goes back to what me and you talked about off record, is that you can't play New York ball on Washington courts, because DC is a different beast to deal with than New York was. He had New York mastered, but he got out of his league trying to go to trying to go to Washington, trying to run everybody.
Try to drain the swamp. He may be getting eaten up by some of those alligators in that swamp. But like I said, now, do you think is there anything? Do you think now for Democrats and Biden supporters, is there anything to worry about, or will the Democrats stay in control and this will go away? Does President Biden have anything to worry about?
Well, let me say this, Robert. The swamp, the swamp is so full of alligators until it's really not going. It will have a moral standoff. If that's what you're talking about having, okay, we got a moral standoff here. Well, that's I mean, that's not going to benefit nobody, and that's just getting into what they're doing. Look here, we need to be focusing on. Okay, while all this crazy stuff you're talking about is going on, Robert, African American community, what should we be doing at this moment? What should we be doing? Because see, if we trying to figure out all this craziness that they're into, and then we're neglecting what we should be doing, then when they get through being crazy, guess what we're gonna be? Crazy right with them. And so I'm saying,
Joe Biden says you should be working with the Latino community. You should be helping all these migrants resettle. Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, said they're getting so many migrants up there from Florida and New York, and so they're beginning to ask the church to allow them to stay in their homes. Now black folks are saying, hey, this inflation, I'm paying twice as much for milk, twice as much for eggs, and Joe Biden running around here with all this money, and Hunter Biden running around with all this money.
Believe it, we're gonna vote on passing trends, like the price of eggs. Okay, I'm gonna vote for Trump because I don't like the price of eggs. That don't make no sense either. So I'm just saying, that we have to.
I personally had more money in my bank account when Trump was in office than I do now. Okay, I'll leave that alone.
Okay, but if you for the people, I would think you would say, hey, you know what? I don't think, I really don't particularly think that's a good thing. I got more money because Trump's in office. That means something, because when he's in office, a certain kind of system is in place. Just like the Democrats in office, another kind of system in place.
Yeah, that's right.
As a veteran,
yes.
For some reason, when Democrats in office, I get more benefits. I get more veteran benefits. I get more veteran help. When Republicans in office, it's a struggle. So it depends on where you're standing in that situation. Like where you standing looks pretty good. Where I'm standing, not so good. So I'm just saying.
Okay, real quick, Joe. Now let me get Reverend Brown, because I want to ask Reverend Brown about the possibility of because this assassination talk. I don't think you guys realize how deep this thing is in Washington, D.C. that's going on between the so-called deep state, the Trump deep state. It's something. It could be the Illuminati versus the mafia, if you will. Big white boy fight. But Reverend Brown, from a spiritual point of view, we've got to pray for this nation, because we don't need a civil war in this country. And some are saying that by constantly indicting Trump, you're poking the white bear. Come on, Reverend. I know that's a heavy one for you, but come on, Reverend.
Yes, we need to pray, and we need to have a sober mind. We need to be intelligent thinkers. We need to stay with the facts and not be sideswiped by all the hype. Stay with the truth and live honest to God. And I think God will see us through this.
All right. I just don't want Arthur to deny that the FBI got these documents, that they had to even tell Christopher Wray that, look, man, we're going to hold you in contempt of Congress if you don't turn these documents over. And look, they've been sitting on these documents ever since 2019, Arthur.
Here, to be clear, first of all, Trump appointed Wray. I've been saying Chris Christie
was the one. Chris Christie suggested Wray.
Let me tell you something about Wray. So I don't know anybody think I'm defending Christopher Wray. Christopher Wray tried to create when the white supremacists got out of control,
Yes.
And he came to Congress. He came to Congress talking about there's a black identity a group going on. He was creating a group, just like they did with COINTELPRO, creating a imagery and then going attacking black folks with it. So okay, so the sisters called him out in Congress and had him down there, asked, hey, what you're doing? Okay, and who are these people? And so he had to change his wording and focus. So I'm trying to tell you. So Christopher Wray I'm not defending Christopher Wray at all. He need to resign. He's a racist as far as I'm concerned also.
But he had to present those documents where that investigator who makes six figures for the FBI had been sitting on this stuff about President Biden since 2019. But we'll leave that alone because we got to get to this other story. And once again, you're listening and watching the review right here at www.theupliftlive.com, where we have a rather lively conversation. And our guest this morning, Arthur Fleming, longtime civil rights activist here in Dallas, former NAACP president, now an author. He's writing columns for the North Dallas Gazette, which we have yet to talk about. And also with us today, Reggie Ruffin, civil rights leader, founder of the Just Cause Coalition. And once again, we are honored to have all of you gentlemen with us. Now, let's go to this black woman who was shot and killed by this white woman, her white neighbor. And we come to find out this was a real crazy story here, because when I first heard it, a Florida woman has been arrested and charged with shooting a black neighbor by the name of A.J. Owens. Now, according to the New York Times, 58-year-old Suzanne Louise Lawrence is the white woman. She's now charged with manslaughter in the death of A.J. Owens. Now, A.J.'s children had been playing on her property, and there was an iPad involved. The white woman got the iPad, threw it at the little black boy and all that kind of stuff, broke the iPad and injured him when she threw it back at him. So A.J. Owens, the black mother, goes to the white woman's house and to confront her. And the white woman says that A.J. knocked on the door so hard, y'all, until she was fearful for her life. So therefore, she shot through the door, killing A.J. Owens, and it's a tragic story.
58-year-old white woman after she allegedly shot and killed her neighbor, a black woman, Ajika Owens, on Friday. Police say the shooter had an altercation with Owens' young children shortly before the incident. Nationally renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump is calling the tragedy an unprovoked and unjustified killing. MSNBC anchor Lindsay Reiser joins us with more on this. Lindsay, walk us through what we know about this investigation and how these two people even knew each other.
It is so tragic. The shooting happened on Friday at 9 p.m. So according to Ben Crump, the attorney representing the family, the kids, A.J. Owens' kids were playing in a field near an apartment or duplex complex when the shooter, the neighbor, who Ben Crump identifies as a 58-year-old white woman, yelled at them, telling them to get off her property, yelled racial slurs at them. The kids leaving behind a tablet of some kind. One of the kids goes to that neighbor's house to try and retrieve the tablet, and she throws something either at or directed toward the child. Police say it was a pair of skates. The child was struck. The child went back home to tell his mom, A.J. Owens, what happened. She goes to the neighbor, and the neighbor, the shooter, tells police a heated exchange ensued. So she said both sides were very aggressive. There was banging on the door. Threats were made. Owens' mother says that door was never opened at any time and that her daughter wasn't armed, but that neighbor did shoot through the door, hitting and ultimately killing A.J. Owens. So police are investigating this. They say that if there's any hint of what's called stand your ground law, we can get to that in a second, then they have to wait to investigate. But let's go ahead and listen to what A.J. Owens' loved ones are saying.
The roles were reversed. There is no way they could tell us they would not have arrested a black woman from shooting a white woman through her door.
A closed, locked door. Door never opened. My daughter was shot and killed with her 9-year-old son standing next to her. She posed no imminent threat to anyone.
Lindsay, you talk about stand your ground. Florida, obviously one of the states well known for having a law that allows people to defend their property and their lives.
Okay, but in this case, according to the law enforcement officials there, Susan Lawrence this was not a stand your ground case. This woman has been charged in connection with the shooting and killing of this black woman. And Reggie, starting with you, I mean, did this have to happen?
None of it had to happen, but at the end of the day, this is going to be an interesting stand your ground type of argument. But had it been me, I would not have went over to the person's house to confront them on a level that hostile, because you go over someone's house, no matter what they say or do, they're going to be more bound by the stand your ground, going to someone's house. I would never go to someone's house and be beating on a door that I can't get in and I can't see what's going on the other side. So it's tragic all the way around, but it's a good chance that likely the woman may actually beat the case. But because at that point she should have called the police and reported the assault that happened and let the police go over there. Wow. But no, you should never lose your temper to the point you go into the person's house, because now you're serving yourself on a platter at that point. But
yes,
I gotta check out right now because I got this parade I'm going to. I'm here in Jackson, Mississippi, and it's the Medgar Evers parade, and I'm going to be talking to some media contacts out there in Mississippi about the Frito-Lay case that I'm doing. So, gentlemen, I always enjoy it, and we'll talk about it next week.
All right, brother. You be safe up there, Reggie, and thank you so much for coming on with us, man. We really appreciate you. Really appreciate you.
All right.
And
Reverend, let's stay up. We'll see you later.
All right, man. Take care of yourself now. And Reverend Brown, coming to you with regards to the shooting death of A.J. Owens by Susan Lorenz, the black woman shot and killed right there in front of her children, shooting through the door. And, we've all dealt with our sisters, black women. Now, like Reggie said, I mean, she went to the door. We don't know if she was going to go over there and fight the white woman or not, but how would you counsel, if you had to counsel a group of black women after an incident like this? Because there may be more incidents like this. People are going to be talking to our children, doing everything to our children. And when you mess with a child, a mother, you messing with a mama bear. We saw a situation here in Dallas this week where this man tried to abduct this little girl. Yeah, I don't know if y'all saw that story, where this man tried to abduct this little girl in front of the mother and father, and the mother went in there and got a knife and put that knife to that man's throat. But what do you say, Reverend Brown, to our black women when they're concerned about how their children are being treated, particularly in a case like this involving people who are using racial slurs, throwing computers and tablets and hitting your children and cracking the tablet?
Well, I don't know if there's a collective answer that applies to everybody, other than the fact that we need to be safe, and we need to make sure our emotions are intact, because when life happens, it's going to bring about some type of response. But we would rather the response be something that will be memorable, where you handle your situation and you weren't out of control. But I would just say that we need to be praying for mothers, praying for fathers, and praying for children, as well as praying for our family.
Yes. And Arthur, some of your thoughts, Arthur, because a case like this could happen again. And I've even seen, take for example, you look at YouTube, sometimes they have these pranks where people sometimes will, like they had these two white guys in a department store, and they were pranking this guy, and they walked up to him and said, "Can you hand me that rope, boy? Hand me that rope, boy." And the black dude turned around and grabbed the white guy in the chest. He said, "Oh," he said, "Man, we just playing a prank. We just playing a prank. Look at somebody videotaping us." But had that not been a prank, and that brother approached the white guy who aggravated him, I mean, are we being set up, or are we overreacting?
No, we have to understand what I said earlier. We are soldiers in a proxy war. Though that's not the first time somebody shot through the door. You know, a young man got shot in the head the other week, same thing, because of fear. Fear is one of the tools that's being used, okay, by these folks that want to create this oligarchic state. So basically, I'm just saying that the fear, more guns, more confusion. So that's what you have. So what you need to be asking is, who's behind creating all of this, and what's their purpose and reason for doing it? I think we need to pay more attention to that. It's okay. What created that atmosphere? You know what I mean? And again, and the sister, bless her heart, you know, she probably haven't really thought about the atmosphere, because she wouldn't even went over there if she would have been thinking about, you know what, in these time and days, I need to call the police, right? Instead of trying, but no, you know, she thinking, you know, well, let me go over and talk to the lady, you know, and so go, and then she gets shot. So I'm just saying, again, that's because, again, we're not, you know, and I think our leaders are not conveying to the community what the current atmosphere is in America. You know, we walking around like like ain't nothing changed when everything is changing as we speak.
Yes, indeed. Well, gentlemen, let's take a real quick break here. And then we got one other quick issue here. And I have the sheriff who did issue the arrest warrant against Susan Lawrence, the white woman who now is being charged with shooting and killing this black woman, shooting through the door. We're going to let you hear what the sheriff had to say as they arrested Susan Lawrence. Once again, you're watching and listening to the review at www.theupliftlive.com, a 24-hour online gospel radio station right out of Dallas, Texas. And I'm Robert Ashley. Each and every Saturday morning, we're here from 10 a.m. Central Standard Time to about 11:30 Central Standard Time, talking about the issues of the day. We're going to pause right now for just a quick break. We'll be back with more after this.
We are the Debt Destroyer Network. Any debt you have, credit card, tax, student loan debt, call now for free information that helps you destroy your debt. It's great advice. Plus, when you make this free call now, we have Debt Destroyer experts ready to help. They can show you how to destroy your debt and get your life back on track. Debt problems don't have to be overwhelming. You can live stress-free and debt-free. Credit cards, medical bills, IRS tax problems, even student loan debt. Learn about free programs offered by the credit card companies, hospitals, and even the government that can help slash your debt. Call the Debt Destroyer now for free information. Call now. 866-500-9945. 866-500-9945. 866-500-9945. Again, that's 866-500-9945.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Do you use pesticides in your job? Specifically Roundup. Roundup, made by Monsanto, contains a chemical called glyphosate, which has been linked to cancer. If you've used Roundup and you have cancer, you may be entitled to a cash award. Over $10 billion has been set aside to pay users of Roundup who've been diagnosed with cancer. Time is almost running out to file your claim. So if you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've used Roundup, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And time to file is almost gone, so please call right now.
800-901-9759. 800-901-9759. 800-901-9759. That's 800-901-9759.
Have you ever met a single person in your life that enjoys paying taxes? No, no one does. If you can't sleep at night because you have a huge problem with the IRS, I've got some free advice for you. This service is strictly limited to individuals that owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes. And if you qualify, we can guarantee that you won't be writing a big fat check to the IRS, or our services cost you nothing. The first 100 people that call today will get a free tax consultation worth $500. Stop worrying about your IRS problem. We can help you, we promise. Call the tax doctor right now. I mean right now, to learn more.
800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. 800-239-0201. That's 800-239-0201.
Your source for your favorite gospel music. It's all right here on The Uplift.
Right. We welcome you back to www.theupliftlive.com. I'm Robert Ashley with you here on a Saturday morning. And once again, you're listening and watching The Review. Here in Dallas, Texas, we are a 24-hour online gospel radio station. And the times that we're living in now, one of my late colleagues on Heaven 97, Brother Joe Bagby, would always say that the gospel is good news in bad times. And we encourage you to go to the App Store, go to Google PlayStation there, and download the app, uplift it down. That way you can take good gospel edifying music with you 24/7. We continue to shout out to the staff here and our great owner and operators here, Deontay Graham, and we just continue to appreciate what you're putting out, but because you're edifying, you're really, really edifying. And we continue to pray for my family. Last week on my wife's side, we had to go to a homegoing of a 15-year-old by the name of Keon Willingham. The reports that we got is that this young straight-A student reportedly shot and killed himself. He had been going through some difficult times with his family. We understand he lost his mother during COVID-19. And also, Google it if you think online. They decided to pull the COVID vaccine off of the market because so many people are having blood clots and heart attacks as a result of either COVID-19 created in the laboratory and the vaccine. And of course, the documents have also been released indicating that you create a vaccine, you create a virus, then you make almost $900 million, and nobody's asking questions. And the way that whole thing was handled just stinks in terms of a open democratic republic, which we call America. But right now, continuing our conversation, we were talking about this black woman by the name of A.J. Owens, a mother of 4, shot and killed by a white woman by the name of Susan Lawrence, who was her neighbor. The two of them had been bickering. And when Miss A.J. Owens, her black children had been playing near an apartment on the land of this white woman, and the white woman said, "Get off my property," and then yelled a bunch of racial slurs. And from what we understand, one of the kids ran off the property, left an iPad, and when he went back to get the iPad, the white woman, Susan Lawrence, threw it at him, hit him with the iPad, and then broke the iPad. And that's when A.J. Owens, the black mother, came over to the house, knocked on the door, and the next thing we know, Susan Lawrence, the white woman, is shooting through the door, shooting and killing A.J. Owens, as 2 of her children stood on that porch and witnessed their mother being shot and killed. Now, we have the sheriff by the name of Billy Johnson here, and he explains that they looked at this from the Florida Stand Your Ground perspective, and this was not a justifiable shooting. It was
now
not
joining me
justified.
is Sheriff Billy Woods. And Sheriff Woods, tell me, has she been arrested yet?
She has been arrested. She's here on our campus here. She's being there. My detectives are finishing up with some interviews with her at this time. And then once they have concluded, she will be escorted into the county jail.
And is her name being released yet?
At this moment, no, it's not. But here soon it will be. And it'll be out there in a press release that my PIOs are about to give out.
And can you tell me what was it that determined she did shoot this woman and that it was not an act of self-defense?
You know, the whole time we had only one side of the story, okay? We know that she shot through the door. Of course, on her side of the story, she makes claims that her life was being threatened. And the way the laws are written in this state, and this is what people need to understand, is our hands are tied in law enforcement in these cases where we are instructed that we cannot make the arrest because we have to rule out whether the shooting was justified or unjustified. So one of the biggest things is the interview of witnesses, and some of our witnesses were the mother's kids. And obviously we were not going to interview them that night after watching their mother be shot and killed. Okay. So we did it on Monday morning so that they sat down with counselors. It wasn't my investigators. It's to do this the right way so that they can sit down and the counselors can talk to them to get the children to talk. And they did. And we got a bigger picture, and we got the full picture. And a lot of the hard work of my detectives wanted to ensure that we closed all the loopholes so that she would not have a defense of using stand the ground law. And this is not a stand the ground. Okay, so let me make that clear. This was not, and it was an unjustified shooting of Miss Owen, and she's arrested for it.
And what was it like for you to see the protests, to see the emotions so high, saying, why hasn't there been an arrest yet?
You know, it's frustrating internally. because there's so much information like myself, us CAOs and law enforcement have. We know the direction is going and we can't give out information, and it's difficult because here's the truth. Did we want to make the arrest that night? Absolutely we did. There's no doubt about it. It's tragic when we see somebody that just shoots through a door and shoots another human being, really just because of a neighborhood squabble. That's what it boiled down to. And it's extremely frustrating because these people that come, and let me make this clear, this is not, what we saw today was not my community. Now, they'll stand up for what they believe in, but that was not Marion County. And the majority of these people that come, they're not even from this community. They're not even from this.
All right, that, of course, is the sheriff there in Marion County as he is discussing the aftermath of their arrest of Susan Lawrence in connection with the shooting death of A.J. Owens. And let this be a message to all of us that when we are beefing or bickering with somebody, let's try to de-escalate situations. Let's try to talk things out. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called it the table of brotherhood. Let's try to reason with one another. But I can imagine the African-American mother, A.J. Owens, God rest her soul, probably was upset when she heard that the woman used racial slurs on her children, threw a tablet at her son, and cracked the tablet, and for the white woman to shoot through the door, claiming she feared for her life. And see, we've had a lot of police officers too who will come up with that particular name. Oh, I shot, I feared for my life, and all that kind of thing. Well, sometimes that stuff will work, and then sometimes it just will not work. All right. Well, once again, you're watching and listening to the review with yours truly, Robert Ashley. And let's see, I thought we still had our guest with us, Arthur Fleming, the Reverend Melvin Brown, because we wanted to get a little bit more comments from him about some of the other issues that we are indeed following. Now, also, let's keep in mind that this is an election day, runoff election day. Now, we understand that in Grand Prairie, there is a big race here. A lot of people, a lot of churches are encouraging people to get out there and vote. And also be careful as to where you go and vote, because come to find out, in Grand Prairie, it's on a dividing line with Arlington, Texas. Grand Prairie, the city limits, goes into Arlington, and there's a certain area that if you go off into as a Grand Prairie resident, you cannot vote, even though the polling location is in Grand Prairie. Crazy situation like the Asian market. If you go to the Asian market and try to vote, they will tell you, well, look, where do you live? Do you live in Arlington or do you live in Grand Prairie? Even though the Asian market's in Grand Prairie, if you live in Grand Prairie, you cannot vote there. So make sure you find out where to vote. Jeff Copeland is running, and this is a District 7 at-large seat. And then you have Betsy Adams, a black woman, who is also running for the at-large seat. Now, when it's at-large, that means you can vote anywhere throughout the city. It's not a district election. It's an at-large seat. And typically, with the 1965 Voting Rights Act, you don't see too many of these at-large seats still existing. But in Grand Prairie, Texas, today, there is a runoff election involving Jeff Copeland and Betsy Adams, and we encourage everybody to get to the polls, get out there and vote. Now, also in Dallas, Texas, we have been following one of the big elections here. I want to give a hallelujah shout out there to City Council member Casey Thomas. Now, Casey Thomas served on the City Council for quite some time. He's termed out, so therefore Casey cannot run for re-election. And I do believe that the Thurgood Marshall Recreation Center right now, it's going on up until about 1 o'clock today. They have a men's conference that's taking place. They're encouraging men to take care of their health, eat healthy, continue to work out, and all that kind of thing. And City Council member Casey Thomas pretty much brought that forth, if you will. But as you go throughout your day today, in Dallas, Texas, in District 3, we have a young man by the name of the Reverend Zarin Gracie. Now, to be perfectly honest, this is my first time ever hearing of this young man. We've covered news for the last 30 years or more here in Dallas, Texas. Some people come on the radar, some people don't. But I understand that he's a minister of the gospel, and I think he works for the city of Dallas, Texas. So that's the Reverend Zarin Gracie, who is up. Now, he got the majority of the votes, but he's being challenged by a grassroots man, an educator by the name of Joe Tabe. So therefore, the polls will be opened up until about 7 o'clock tonight, and we encourage you to get out there and vote. Now, also go to your county elections website, because we have runoff elections all over. We have runoff elections in the city of Cedar Hill. I got elections going on there, and you are encouraged to get out there and vote and just kind of get accustomed to voting, because before you know it, the 2024 presidential elections, those elections will indeed be here. We saw, who was it? Several others announced their candidacy this week. Mike Pence, the vice president who used to serve with Donald Trump, is indeed off and running. I can't wait for these debates to come forth. Now, on the Democratic side, what's going on with Joe Biden? Well, why doesn't Joe Biden want to debate anybody? Robert Kennedy Jr. And let's plead the blood of Jesus over Robert Kennedy Jr. because whenever we see a Kennedy decide to do anything, something always seemed to happen to the Kennedy family. Some say it was a curse, and then others say, well, no, this is just the deep state. And if Donald Trump doesn't be careful, this deep state is Chuck Schumer, the Democrat out of California, said they can hit you in any kind of way they want. And that's one of the things about the United States of America. We have a lot of freedoms here, but at the same time, people have the freedom to violate your constitutional rights and put you in a position where you never know what's going to happen. Now, also in Dallas, Texas, we've got another runoff election. Now, this was in, let's see, once again, we just told you about the District 3 runoff election. Let's see, let me make sure that we don't have anything else going on in Dallas. I don't think we have anything else going on in Dallas, if you will. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, that's Cedar Hill. Okay, let's continue on. We have runoff elections in Seagoville, Texas. Now, if you live out there in Seagoville, go to the Dallas County website and look up and see who is on the ballot there, if you will. Now, let's see here. Who else? Cedar Hill got one. We got Dallas for you. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Okay. Oh, okay. Now, okay, this is Dallas. The Dallas Independent School District. This is a runoff election in District 2. In District 2, Sarah Weinberg and Jimmy Tran. Now, this is going to be quite interesting here. This is a Dallas Independent School District runoff election. Sarah Weinberg and Jimmy Tran. So we're going to be watching that one really, really closely there as well. Now, also in DeSoto, Texas, one of the suburban communities outside of Dallas, Texas, we have a runoff election for City Council Member Place 2. You have Gilbert Grain taking on Peretta Parker. So once again, those of you in the DeSoto area in City Council Place 2, once again, Gilbert Grum, and also Peretta Parker, they're vying to be your leaders there in the area of District 2. And once again, here in Grand Prairie, Texas, this is the one that many are watching here in Grand Prairie, Jeff Copeland and Betsy Adams. The polls will be open up until about 7 o'clock tonight. And once again, we continue to encourage you to get out there and vote. Now, also in Irving, Texas, I want to shout out to Anthony Bond, one of the founding members of the NAACP there in Irving, Texas, and all of our great friends in Irving, Texas. We've got a runoff in one of the single-member districts, District 3. Single-member district, District 3. In Irving, Texas, you have Mark Zetsky and Abdul Kadir. We want to say hello to Abdul. We know Abdul Kadir there. Anthony introduced me to him years ago. And then Mark Zetsky, they're off and running. And that's for a single-member district there in District 3 in Irving, Texas. But once again, our panel is back with us at this time. Arthur Fleming, a longtime civil rights activist, and of course, the Reverend Melvin Brown. And let's see, now, Arthur and Reverend Brown, anything else on the situation involving the late A.J. Gilbert, the black woman who was shot and killed in front of her children? How do we, starting with you, Arthur, because, you know, you've been in the civil rights trenches, and I've seen you at news conferences where people will sit up and say anything to try to egg you on to fight. As a matter of fact, if you remember the last news conference we were at in Grand Prairie, we thought somebody was trying to egg on a fight there. You remember that, Arthur, when that guy at the school board meeting, it looked like he just went ballistic.
Well, you got to understand that that's called a distraction. That's part of that's just part of what folks that deal with media do. So we just have to stay focused. As far as that young lady, again, like I said, white fear. That's what we're dealing with, and it's being weaponized through the political system, and so it's creating this atmosphere where, again, the young lady, she wasn't aware. She's not aware of what the atmosphere is. She's not aware of white fear. If she would have been hip to that, she would have not have went up to that woman's door and knocked on the door. You know what I mean? So she didn't know. And so I'm saying that, we have to do a better job, from the pulpit and other places to, have our people understand, what this moment, is about, and and the fear involved, and how fear can get you killed.
And see, another thing too, when you mess with any woman, a black woman, white woman, Latino, when you mess with their children like that, I mean, she may have been overly emotional. Now we know that women are emotional. God just wired them differently from us. But women are very, very emotional. So I just feel sorry. I just feel so bad for the mother, because to have your children treated like this and to then use racial slurs against your children.
But we're soldiers in a proxy war.
Yes,
if you know your position in the position, which is we're soldiers in a proxy war by outside forces manipulating the environment of which we operate, we have to understand what that is happening. She wasn't aware of it. She wasn't aware of it, and because she wasn't aware of it, she acted in what we would call a normal kind of a reaction kind of a way. And right now, that's a dangerous move now, to be reacting in normal kind of ways, and we need to understand that. I mean, you can still act in certain, your normal way, but you can't. Certain situations, you just have to say, okay, this is not like it used to be, so I need to call a police or call my pastor or call somebody before I act. Right. So.
Right. So even in the situation involving self-defense, we're going to get Reverend Brown into the conversation, but even in the sense of self-defense, the climate that we're in now, Arthur, especially with Donald Trump having been indicted, has that angered the white community?
The white community was already angered. They were already angered. Again, let's don't pretend that they just got angry. Okay. They've been angry since 1865. Okay. So that anger's been there. So it's not like, oh, they just got angry. No, they've been angry. It's always been like this. It's never been different. The only difference is, like I said, more people are aware of what it is. That's the only difference, Rob. That's the only difference. And Mr. Trump snatched the cover off the whole game and told everybody what the game is. So again, Maya Angelou, we need to believe it. They telling you what they doing. DeSantis said, if I win the presidency, I'm going to give Trump a pardon.
A pardon
means that he's part of the coup, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's part of the coup.
One thing about Mike Pence. Now, Mike Pence was asked that same question. Did Pence say nobody is above the law? I don't know if he was including Joe Biden in that or not, but maybe he's saying that Donald Trump is not above the law.
Now that's okay. So see, that's an example of somebody I'm telling you about who had, you can't use an immoral person to try to talk about moral issues. That man, that man's immoral, right?
All right.
God try to kill you. You know what I mean?
Now let me get Reverend Brown. Now, Reverend Brown, this is for our sisters. Now, if a white woman throws a tablet at your child, cuss your child out, help me, Reverend. How do I maintain without going over there wanting to wring that woman's neck and wind up possibly getting shot just like Ms. Owens did? Where's the quickening of the Holy Ghost? Where do I get that balance to keep me from putting myself in harm's way of getting shot? Because I'm angry. You talk to my child like that, you gonna throw a tablet at him?
Yeah. Well, it's certainly not a spiritual issue. It's a physical issue. And if you don't have a good spiritual foundation, your flesh will do anything. So that takes us back to what you said earlier. Our regard for God and our reverence for God being, the supreme authority in this world. If we don't live with that kind of accountability, we're going to keep on having higher crime, hatred, and racism and all those things. So yes. I pray that the lessons we learn is to love each other.
Okay, one last, and gentlemen, I think I have maybe about a minute for this. Arthur, starting with you, June is Pride Month. The LGBT community is off and running. Is the Black community LGBT on one accord?
As we said at the last time we met, remember they threw all that stuff in one bag. It's all in one bag, Robert. And so, like what I'm going to do, this is, it's also my birthday month. I'm going to celebrate, I'm going to do like Frederick Douglass. I'm going to celebrate Juneteenth, from Juneteenth, but I'm going to celebrate for my birthday. But anyway, Juneteenth all the way to June 3rd. So that's what I'm going to do. And then the gay pride folks, because I have some some folks in my family, they can support, what they want to this month. It's not gonna have any impact on my support for what I'm doing, and so I wish them well.
All right, and Reverend, the author evaded the question whether or not we're on one accord, but what are your thoughts, Elder?
Well, let's be safe. Things happen every single day, so a holiday is not going to bring any more difference in living in accord every day. And when we get to Juneteenth, I just pray that our brothers and sisters will celebrate with safety and honor and dignity.
Amen. And you hear nobody's talking about reparations. We don't have any kind of executive orders regarding reparations. Joe Biden hadn't done anything regarding reparations. Barack Obama didn't do anything, and you can't depend on the Republicans to do anything. But we just want to thank you, gentlemen, for being with us. In terms of that gay pride, the wheat and the tare grows together, and God Himself is going to do the separating, and we need to have compassion for all. But once again, Author and Reverend Brown and Reggie a little bit earlier, we certainly want to thank you for being with us. And Author, when is your birthday? What date is your actual birthday, man?
17th of June. Battle of Bunker Hill.
My goodness, man! And
somebody was fighting that day.
All right, maybe that's where your revolutionary spirit comes from, my brother. The Battle of Bunker Hill. All right. Well, Reverend Brown, we certainly, sir, want to thank you for being with us. And of course, we want to thank all of our good friends and our staff right here at www.theupliftlive.com, Deontay and all the fine folks there. Just a lot of great people, Lisa, the great staff there, and also the Avidity Awards. Now, don't forget, go to our website at www.theupliftlive.com and cast your vote in the Avidity Awards. We're up for the Internet Station of the Year. Well, look, I'm Robert Ashley. We'll see you, and we want you to have a blessed day. And once again, thank you for being with us right here on the Uplift Live.
Thank you, Robert. Appreciate it.
God bless you, my brother. Y'all take care.
Appreciate you, Rev.